Hey everybody, it's Pokey. As you can tell by the title and probably by my hat, this video will be talking about my love for space and NASA. And let me just let you know that I am not a technical person, and half the stuff that I studied and absorbed as a kid, I do not remember at all. I'm not one of those like super sciencey type of nerds. Um, my love for NASA and for space started when I was very young, actually. But I released a video recently, days ago, where I talked about how I really wanted to see the movie Lightyear, and I gave a lot of reasons why, and also because it to me is like another hope for the future generations when it comes to space and exploration and science. And um, I got a little choked up even because I was talking about how Alan really loves science and like nerdy things, and he keeps talking about wanting to build giant robots, like very similar to like Gundam and like the Power Rangers, like Megazords, and like he wants to build robots that can like travel throughout the stars. So it's not just like a space shuttle, but like an actual robot. So it can like, you could do things with it while you're in space. And I'm like, that'd be pretty cool, buddy. But anyway, so this is literally my origin video, my origin story of how I really got into space. Um, Okay, so I mean, if you've seen any of my videos, you know I'm like a really big kind of geeky nerd when it comes to everything. I mean, like anime, like comics. I was definitely into Star Trek and Star Wars as a kid. I was definitely into like so much like Disney and Nickelodeon. I mean, I was born in the 80s, so I grew up during the heyday of the 90s with all the cool stuff. Um, but it wasn't just that. So my dad definitely has a story that he would always tell people about how Return of the Jedi was my favorite movie of all time because that was the only movie that could calm me when I was a baby, apparently, according to my dad. Um, I mean, and to get a little background, my dad, my family actually definitely has some history with aeronautical stuff. I mean, both my grandpas were in World War II. My grandpa Andrews, my dad's dad, flew a Dauntless against the Japanese on the Pearl Harbor side. And I think he even helped bring down one of the Zeros, which is really hard because Zeros are like, wow, to engineering, okay? So it was not just my grandpa, but it was like a whole bunch of people, like his team and everyone, like his crew is just, it was insane. Um, at least that was the story. I know that he definitely got to go up and like touch a Zero fighter, so that was like craziness. Um, but my grandpa was part of Northrop before the Northrop Grumman merge. Like he was part of the start, like Northrop itself, okay? Um, and he worked with Northrop. And my dad, he was a torpedoesman in a sub during, like both grandpa and my dad were in the Navy, not just me. I mean, but my dad was only in for a couple years, and then he went straight to work for Northrop with my grandpa and a few others. And we were originally in Thousand Oaks, where I was born. Um, and then we moved to Tehachapi, where my dad could be closer to Edwards Air Force Base. And there's a lot of history there, okay? A lot of history. Um, we moved to Tehachapi when I was 5. And my dad worked really hard to kind of upgrade. And we were in a big 2-story house, peach colored. It was not the nicest color. Um, it's like light peach and dark peach trim. It's obnoxious. Um, but when we moved there, there was like practically nothing there. Like Tehachapi is like big now. If I look on a map, Google Maps, I'm looking at like, I remember when that used to be desert. Like I remember literally going like a mile out and climbing trees and trying to, be careful of rattlesnakes because they were everywhere. Um, and just trying to, get in trouble because that's what kids do. Um, But there was like practically nothing there when we moved there. But yeah, my dad was always working. He was always gone. Um, but yeah, he would tell people stories that like Return of the Jedi was the movie, right? And I it really launched me into loving like spacey and that kind of stuff. Now, my mom and her family are really big nerds. My late uncle Jeff, like he's the one who introduced me to Star Trek. He introduced me to anime actually too. Um, he introduced me to a lot of things. But my dad always tries to credit himself as the one who started this all. Okay, because of Star Wars. Um, my dad's not much of a sciency kind of nerd person, even though he was like an engineer, but it's still because he's more into the western and action hero movie kind of thing. Like that's he wasn't really into sci-fi as much, but he enjoys sci-fi. But he definitely was. He really liked Star Wars, so he would play those movies all the time. And I remember, oh, I think I was around six ish, 6.5 or so. And mind you, my parents got like the main bedroom, and my sister and I got this big bedroom to ourselves. And then there was like this in between bedroom that was kind of like the guest room that turned into the office, that turned into the music room, that turned into the little library. It altered all the time. But anyway, there was this big sliding window and then no screen. And then literally you get over on the edge and there's this kind of like overhang for the garage area and the front door area. And but there's like just this big overhang like roof area, like tiled roof. And I'm not gonna lie, it was dangerous. It was not safe for me to do this, but I would get a big comforter and I would take, like when my sister got a little bit older, like I would take her out there, but she would just kind of sit on the desk right next to the window. So I would be on the actual roof side and she would be on the desk. But we take this big comforter. I had learned how to make hot chocolate. I was very proud of myself. And we would turn all the lights off. And there weren't very many lights on our street. We were the last house on the street at that time. I mean, definitely more is filled in the years since, in where we used to live in Tehachapi, but we were the last house at the time. And I would go out with this big comforter, and I have a hot mug of hot chocolate, and I would just sit there and I would stare at the sky. And if you've seen the James Webb images, like oh my gosh, I cried when I saw them recently. But if you've seen like that, just so many stars, right? I don't know if you've ever done this, if you ever get the chance to do it, but literally seeing the night sky with no artificial lights in the middle of like somewhere, the desert somewhere, like forest, wherever, but you can see all those stars. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. And I was like 6.5 or so, and I just remember staring at the sky and just being enamored by it and thinking like there's so much out there. There's just, it was the most beautiful thing in the world, and that was my favorite thing to do at night. I mean, like I finally grasped enough of reading by that time, because my mom was a stay-at-home mom at that time, and so she was hard charging me to read, so I could read by the time I was 6 and read fairly well. Um, like the next year, I actually started reading Sun Tzu's The Art of War and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. So, I mean, and I did that when I was 7, but I was like super proud of myself. Like I learned how to read and I could make hot cocoa, and there were all these like firsts for me, right? That I was really proud of myself a year after we moved there. And then I remember looking out the window one time and seeing stars, and I'm like, wow, that looks really awesome. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to get this big comforter. I'm going to go and sit in this big comforter. I'm going to have hot cocoa and I'm going to stare at the stars. And that was my favorite thing to do at night. That was just, and then if the moon was out, if the moon was out, oh my gosh, like I have this thing with the moon, like, like literally if there's like the moon out, it doesn't matter if it's just a sliver. I will stare at it. I will seriously like just be this enraptured like moth to the flame. Pretty much that's how I am with the moon, okay? And that really started my just curiosity for everything that has to do with space exploration. I mean, of course it helped, being exposed to like Star Wars and Star Trek and all that, but man, like being able to see the stars in all their glory without any artificial light. And like there's like two or three houses next to us that don't have their lights on, so we were literally pitch black, and I got to see the stars in all their glory. And yeah, it's with the naked eye. I didn't have like a telescope. I didn't have anything like that. I would have loved one as a kid. Like freaking family members buying me Barbie, and I'm just like, freaking telescope. I want to be able to look at the stars better, okay? Like, what is this stupid Barbie? Like, I don't play with Barbies anymore. I'll just chop their heads off and like burn them or something. I don't care. I don't, or maybe keep it in the package because maybe they'd be worth something one day. Which is funny for a 7-year-old to want to do that, and it makes me mad that my sister kept getting into all the boxes. Like, she's almost 3 years younger, so at the time she wanted to play with Barbies, and I'm just like, no, keep them in the box. And I think I got the idea because my uncle Jeff was really big collector, so he literally had like mint whatever he collected, and he was talking about how things are like worth more, you know, if you keep them in mint condition. So I think that's where I got it. But anyway, so it's like people gave me all these other kinds of gifts. I'm just like, this is what I want. Like, come on. Actually, one of the things I definitely wanted after I turned 8 was to go to space camp, but that definitely was not going to happen. Anyway, so then let's fast forward a little bit. Now, as I said, my dad worked at Edwards Air Force Base, and he was working on the B-2 bomber at the time. It was the the early 90s, so I mean that was a big deal. And sometimes he'd be gone for weeks on end, sometimes a couple months before he'd be home. I don't remember how this came about. I just know that one time he did this whole take your kid to work day sort of thing, and I was the oldest, and I was super excited. And I remember asking him, like, am I going to see like planes and jets and cool things? And he's like, yes, you are. It's going to be cool. And I remember us driving there, and I think I was like almost 7, or around 7.5. Like I was around the 7.5 time frame. Okay. It was definitely like during the summertime. So it was definitely, yeah. So it was after my 7th birthday, which is in May. So it was, yeah. I had already finished school. So anyway, we're driving up there, and of course you see like the hangars in the like the distance, and there's just this big tarmac, like just big swaths of nothingness. And I'm just like, where are all the jets? Where, like, I want to see some cool stuff. I remember my dad taking me around the hangar, and at some point, I have like a whole bunch of stuff behind me that I want to show you, by the way. At some point, we rounded a corner, and I don't know if I begged him to put me on his shoulders or if he already had me on his shoulders. I don't remember that part exactly. All I know is that I was super excited, because then around the corner was this beautiful jet, and I can't describe why. I know this is not to scale, obviously, but F-14 Tomcat. And I was begging my dad, can we please go up to it? Can we please go up to that? I want to try to, like, I was trying to reach it, and I was just like, I was madly in love. And I asked my dad what kind of jet this is, and he was like, that's the F-14. And I was like, that's so cool. Oh my gosh. Like, I was freaking out. And it's not that I wanted to be a pilot of a fighter jet. I definitely, even as a kid, that's not what I wanted. I was just in love with craftsmanship. I was just in love with this design. I loved it so much. And I was super excited, right? And that definitely started some passion for exploration, for being high up, for speed, for just everything that I could associate with in my mind that was in regards to space and flight. And like, it was a big deal to me, that my dad took me and I got to see that jet. And that was just like the window, right? Now, definitely a lot of things were happening as a kid. I Suffice to say that I was going through a lot. My mom was not a good mother. My dad was absent a lot and didn't know half of what was going on. And my mom took me and my sister up to Washington State, where she's from. And we were there for 4 years while my parents duked it out on the custody battle during their divorce. And that's putting it mildly, like me just glossing over and being very vague, because there was abuse, there was a lot of bad things happening. My sister and I went to like 6 different elementary schools in like those 4 years. I'm not kidding. There was a time when we actually went back to a school we'd been to the year or two before, like it. But yeah, like 6 different schools. And I remember during that time, because we went there when I was like 9 or so, and it was when I was 10 and a half, almost 11. And at first we were at like various shelters and women's shelters, and then my mom got us into some really crappy apartment kind of setup. It was all one story, and it was definitely a dark time. And I remember feeling kind of listless with life in general, and I didn't get to talk to my dad very often. My sister and I were kind of on our own, and I remember that sometime around that time frame, I had heard the song "To the Moon and Back" by Savage Garden, Darren Hayes and Savage Garden, and that song resonated with me so much. Mama never loved her much. Daddy never kept in touch. Like, it just, everything about that song, except the part where she's waiting for the right pilot to come. Now, as a kid, I didn't really see it as like a romantic thing. I saw it as, I'm waiting for the right opportunity to come, the right opportunity to get away. Like, I already wanted to do something with space. I initially thought that maybe I'd be an engineer. Maybe I'd do something, like, I like to tinker with things. I still like to build things or move things around. I'm very hands-on. So I definitely, like, if I couldn't fly something, then I was going to like build something. I was not the best when it came to math, but I definitely enjoyed just seeing how things work together. And I definitely was like, I need to be a part of this somehow, some way. I need to be a part of this. And my dad knew that, right? But that song was like my jam, right? But sometime before, I can't remember if it was just before or just as I was discovering that song, because I really don't remember the year that it came out, but it was sometime around there that I got to talk to my dad, and he said, hey, did you still want to be an astronaut? And I said, yeah, I do. He said, okay. And there was a school project in one of the schools where it said, design your own airplane. And I did more of like a space kind of plane, not really like a jet plane, but I was kind of like I was thinking very much like a Star Trek sort of thing. But it was going to be like a, like, it was like a mesh of things, but the design was initially going to be similar to the B-2, because that's what I remember my dad working on when I was younger. But then it started to become bigger and bulkier, and then I was like trying to come up with ways that it could actually work with physics. And my dad offered to give me insight. So one of the weekends he was allowed to see me and my sister, he brainstormed with me on this crazy, and I don't know where it is. It is somewhere in storage. I still have that. So one of these days I will get that. And I will show you, because I'm super proud of myself. I was like 10 and a half, 11. So, but I was like really proud of myself for making this crazy diagram of this like space fighter jet thing or whatever, And my dad even came and did a whole like, what do your parents like, bring your parents to school and like what did they do, the job thing. And he tried to explain as best as he could what an engineer did, and I could tell that a lot of the kids were just like, this is very technical and I'm bored already. And I was kind of sad, but that no one else was as excited as I was, but I was riveted. I loved hearing whatever he had to say about his job and the things that he'd done, and that he was part of some great engineering in the past, with the space shuttles. And like, I actually have a plaque somewhere, it's in storage, somewhere in storage, of one of the nuts that went on one of the space shuttles that my grandpa and my dad helped with. And that's part of my history too. So I'm like super excited that I have that. It's safe in storage. I just don't have it with me right now. I do have another thing for my grandpa, but I'll show that in a moment. But anyway, so like, I was really excited. And then when my dad asked me, like, do you still want to be an astronaut one day? And I said, yeah. And I don't know that will ever happen. And he said, you know what? I think I know what can do what I can do to do a pick me up. Like, I think I know what I can do to, make you feel better. I said, what's that? And he said, I will get one of my good friends to talk to you on the phone. I said, what good friend? Like, I'm thinking like it's a work buddy. It wasn't just some work buddy. This was like my second wind. Like, I was super depressed. I was going through a lot because my mom was like the heavily abusive one. And then it's me trying to protect my sister, trying to do well enough in school, and not doing very well in school. And just trying to survive and losing hope for the future and not knowing if I still want to do anything, because, what good is it to hope, sort of thing. And this was like my second win. So my dad didn't just get a friend, he got an astronaut to talk to me on the phone. I can't tell you how much, like, I was crying. Okay. It's not just some astronaut either. It's not just some guy that he happened to work with or whatever. No, this was a guy he went to high school with, Dr. Scott Horowitz. And like, he has a PhD, like, he is an actual engineer. He has a PhD, but Dr. Scott Horowitz went to Newbury Park High School with my dad in Thousand Oaks, class of 74. And I'm going to say confidently it was 4 missions. I want to say 96. I don't know if it's 95, 96, 96, 97, 2000, 2001. I think those are like the 4 missions they did. Like, I tried looking him up, like, when I was in high school. I graduated in 04, but I tried looking him up in high school to see if like he had any more missions, because I know that at the time he talked to me, he said that he had a couple more planned. But anyway, and I feel like he had come back from a mission at the time that he talked to me. So it was like springtime. So I know it was like sometime after another mission that he'd done. So this was definitely, yeah. It was because it was around my 11th birthday. It was in 97. So it was around my 11th birthday. And I know that he mentioned something about coming back. So I think he had a recent mission in 97 at that time. But yeah, my dad went to high school with this guy, and I know that they were both at Edwards Air Force Base around the same time in the 90s, the early 90s. I don't know that they actually like worked together. They may have seen each other, I'm not sure. But still, it was the highlight of my life. Like, I was talking to a freaking astronaut, I was freaking out so much. I was like crying. I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is insane. And I don't remember like exact words, so this is paraphrasing, because I mean, come on, that was like 25 years ago. So that's a long time ago, so I don't remember exact words, but basically it was like, hi, how are you? My name is Scott. Like, I went to high school with your dad, and yeah, I've been to space, and your dad said you want to be an astronaut. I was just like, yes, like, that would be a dream. So a lot of it as a kid when I was really young was more of exploration. And then as a kid during my parents' divorce and then going through the things that I was going through, I definitely wanted an escape. Like, I definitely wanted to escape the planet. Like, I love planet Earth. I really do. Like, I feel like we could do better by her, you know? Um, better by it. But I still wanted to kind of get away from everything, and I wanted to see things that I'd never seen before. Um, I said I would have loved to go to space camp, but I know that my parents definitely could not afford something like that, and especially during the divorce. But he said that's okay. Space camp is not required. Like, you don't need to go to space camp to become an astronaut. And I was just like, really? Like, I thought that would really help me. I was like, I mean, it could help teach you a lot. It could help you with experience, but it's not required. And I know that I'm not saying like the exact words that he used, so I'm paraphrasing, but I remember the message they gave me, and I still hold this message in my heart. And I actually passed that on to Alan. And it was basically, he was saying that you just have to commit to it. You just have to try. There's a lot of knowledge involved, and sometimes it may be hard to focus because it's just so much. But he's like, but if you keep focused, if you keep committed, if you remember, you know, what you're working towards. And he's like, it's definitely worth it in the end. But the message was like, you know, you have to work hard. You have to keep at it. And it's not just a you done it, okay, great, and you never have to practice again. He's like, no, you have to train constantly. This isn't a one and done type of thing. He's like, you have to consistently keep training. And he was in the military. I believe he was Air Force, where my dad was Navy. But he's also a military person. So I mean, like, you know, he definitely been a veteran. And so he and my dad both had that kind of mindset that it's like, this isn't just a you train really hard, you get it great. No, you got to keep at it. You can't just give up. You have to keep going. And he's like, and sometimes it'll be really hard. It'll be very difficult, but you got to keep at it. And, you know, if you don't understand something, then work hard for it. Don't give up. And like, that's the kind of message that he gave. And he's like, you know, yeah, it'd be nice if you could go to space camp, but that's not required to become an astronaut. And he's like, do you want to be an astronaut? That's all you need right there to convince yourself that that's the path you want to go. And he's like, if you want to, then that's it. And you just got to work for it. And you just got to keep going and keep training. And that really, really resonated with me. But I was just like, oh my freaking gosh, like, I'm talking to an astronaut, right? Like, I can't believe this is happening, right? When Alan talked about science and being an engineer and building things, because he loves blocks and connects, and he loves Minecraft. He loves playing on Minecraft, but he loves just making things and building things, and he wants to see what he can do and how he can help people. And I told him basically the same message. I was like, because he said, you know, I'm never going to get this. You know, oh, I hate math. And I was like, well, math is a part of it. I suck at math. I really do. There's a part of me that kind of gave up, you know, not being very good at math and being like, no, I'll never become an astronaut because I'm not good at math. But honestly, if I put my focus on something, like if I put my heart and soul into something I really focus on, I really try hard, I'm not half bad. I'm stretched too thin, too much going on. And that's just me. But I told Alan, like, I get it. You know, you have ADHD and your brother has ADHD, and I'm pretty much undiagnosed. Been told constantly by therapists, by teachers growing up from multiple, you know, different states, different schools. They don't even talk to each other that, hey, you probably have ADHD. I'm like, okay. Eventually I'll get that taken care of. But I told Alan, I was like, I know you got ADHD, and sometimes it feels like you can't get anything done, or you can't focus enough. Like, it's really difficult sometimes. And I said, but you know what? You got to keep at it. It's not impossible. You just have to commit to it. You just have to focus. And you know what? Sometimes if it gets really hard, you need to take a step back, then do that. But then don't give up. Just keep going. And like, he's only 8.5. He's going to turn 9 this year. And like later this year. And he's got his life ahead of him as far as figuring out what he wants to do. He could decide that he wants to go into cooking, because he also mentioned that he loves food. He wants to be a chef one day, but he's mainly continues to go back to, I want to be an engineer. I want to build things for space. I want to build things that has us traveling to other universes. Because to me, I mean, they're both, my kids are familiar with DC and Marvel. We're mostly Marvel fans. I mean, definitely Deadpool's my favorite, but they absolutely love like Spider-Man and the Avengers. And I say Spider-Man and the Avengers because Spider-Man comes first in their minds, and then Avengers, everything else. But they're familiar with the whole multiverse concept. And anytime they've asked me like, hey, is so-and-so real? I'd say, and this is my way of keeping it alive, like the imagination, is that maybe they're real in another universe. And by the way, for anyone who has seen Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, spoiler, like I had told my kids that years ago before this movie came out. So if you see that movie and that concept of maybe not our universe but real in another universe type of thing comes up, like I didn't get that from that movie. Like I've been telling my kids this for years before that movie even came out, before they were making it. Granted, that could have been in a comic somewhere, but I haven't read every single comic from Marvel. Okay, so and I haven't read any Doctor Strange comics actually. But anyway, so because one of my friends asked, like, did you get that from the movie? I was like, no, actually, I didn't. But I mean, it's a great concept, but that's not where I got it from. Anyway, so I've told my kids, like, you never know. Something could exist in another universe. You never know. And Alan just had that thought, like, I should build something to help us travel to those other universes. Like, I should do this. I was like, you should, and you should not give up. And I know it may be hard, so you have to keep focused, but you can get there. So, that kind of advice that I was given by Dr. Horowitz just definitely, it resonated, and I've kept that, and I've gone back and forth on a lot of what I want to do in my life, and I'm still figuring it out. And you know what? I'm a writer, and I haven't like done any sort of major publishing. Like I've done a couple things on Kindle, but I haven't really done my baby, my work in progress, my whip right now, and that's going to take a while. I could be like 60 years old before I publish, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not in a hurry to be like uber rich or uber popular or whatever. Honestly, I'm more just want to get my project done, my baby, and I want to like give it out to the world. But I know that wherever I go in life, even though I keep, having to alter plans because things happen all the time, that advice of like being committed, of being focused, I've done that whenever it's like, hey, push comes to shove and I've got to focus on something. I've got to go a certain direction, a certain path. Boom, let's do this. And let's give it our all. And that's what I've done. So, I mean, when I'm focused, I'm focused. I get things just boom. So I know it's possible. And that's why I told Alan, I was like, it can be hard sometimes, but you have to keep at it. And throughout the entire time that you're keeping at it, never lose sight of that dream. Never lose sight of that curiosity. And I'm really happy because Dr. Horowitz also mentioned that, like, I've always been a curious mind. I've always been really fascinated by stuff. I said in my other video, like, I hate the term easily amused or easily, like, entertained, because it's not so much easily as that I just find wonder in so much. I just love exploration. I love exploring and doing things and going places. Like, I'm not like a crazy outdoors person. I'm not, even though my family did do camping when I was a little kid. So, I mean, I've been to Mammoth Lakes a few times and, we've done that kind of camping. But, I mean, like, I'm not like a super outdoorsy person, but I'm not going to freak out being outdoors, Like, I would love to travel outdoors. I'd love to explore and see mountain ranges and things like that. Like, I may not be physically the most fit, but hey, like, I want to go and do things and learn things. Learning is the biggest thing. Like, I'm such a book nerd and I just read every day. And we're not quite there yet with Alan as far as the reading part, but he loves stories. He loves learning things. He loves watching things. Like, I have the Roku thing, like I have a projector. I have a Roku thing, and I've got the Smithsonian. I've got the NASA channel on there. I've got like STEM and Nat Geo on there, and so they go to that all the time. Like, both my boys. So I mean, Connor, even though he's 4.5, he's pretty smart. It's because he's watching whatever Alan is watching, and Alan's got access to like Nat Geo and NASA and STEM and Smithsonian. Like, he's seeing all this great stuff. And he's also exploring the Nat Geo Kids thing on Disney Plus. So I mean, he's seen that too. So I mean, like, I hope that he continues to stay curious. I mean, I'm not afraid to tell him that I don't know the answer to something. I said, you know what? I don't know. Why don't we go look it up? Why don't we find out together? Because I don't have to be all knowing, but I definitely want him to be like, okay, I don't know something, then I should go and find out. And so that's that whole keeping sight of the curiosity and wanting to explore and wanting to learn and just get out there. I still have that, and I definitely encourage that in my kids. So I'm happy that I got to talk to Dr. Horowitz. Like, that just, it was the highlight as a kid that I got to do that. And okay, so I also have quite a few other things I want to show, because like, I don't geek out enough when it comes to space. Like, I geek out with a lot of stuff. Like, if you've seen some of my room or whatever, like, I've got Star Wars over there. I've got like 2 snow leopards embracing the earth in a space thing. I got some anime. I've got my grandpa's like horse painting that he painted. You can see behind me is some anime and Star Trek, and I've got Disney and Winnie the Pooh, and I've got like a Nutcracker. I've got like Belle from Beauty and the Beast. I got like a whole bunch of stuff, right? I'm all over the place, right? I don't geek out enough about space stuff. Part of it's because although I do have some friends that are also interested, they're not as big into it as I am. Like, I honestly would love to have a friend that I could just like geek out full on about this stuff, right? That would be fun. Anyway, so fast forward by a couple years, and my parents' divorce hasn't quite finalized yet, but my mom didn't care, and she got remarried. Now, my stepdad, actually, technically, I think it's ex-stepdad, because I think they actually divorced some time ago. But my mom got remarried, and my stepdad at the time was also a not good person, just like her. Anyway, he was the black sheep of the family, but he came from a very rich family, and some of the family lived in Florida. Now, I had been to Disneyland as a kid when I was 7 with my family. That's actually what sparked my interest in musical theater and music, is I got to see the whole live Broadway type-esque musical of Beauty and the Beast at Disneyland. And I already loved the fairy tale, and I already loved like the movie and everything, but seeing it on stage is a whole nother ball game. Okay. Whew. Anyway, so I'd already done the Disneyland thing. Absolutely loved it. My mom and stepdad wanted to do their honeymoon somewhere in like the Bahamas or whatever, and his family was paying for it. Anyway, me and my sister, and I have 2 stepbrothers excuse me, from that remarriage. So I was the oldest, and then there was, I think it's Corey or whatever was the second oldest, and then there's my sister, and then there was Matthew, the youngest. Anyway, so us 4 kids went to visit the family in Florida. We got to go to Disney World and Universal Studios. We didn't get to do like the whole thing. We just got to go bits and pieces. And this was in 1999. This was at the height of Star Wars Episode 1, which I saw 4 times in theaters. Once was me scrounging enough money up to go with friends, and then the other 3 times was other people like, hey, you want to come? I'm like, yes, I do. If you're paying for it, yes, I will. Yeah, sometimes I'll go, like, I'll nitpick here or there when it comes to episode 1, but I'm not. Who am I kidding? Like, I was 13 and I had the hots for the young Ewan McGregor. Okay, like, are you kidding me? Like, I was full blown into it. And come on, how can you not? Duel of the Fates, man. Anyway, so this was at the height of that, and it was Thanksgiving weekend. Was not all sunny in Florida. Was not happy with the weather, but oh well. I got to go to Disney World and Universal, so fine. Then, and this is because I insisted, we went to Kennedy Space Center, and it was really hard to convince my step family's family to do that, because they were kind of like focused on, well, we're close to Disney World, so we're going to focus more on that. Totally fine with that. And Universal, great, but Space Center, okay. So I didn't have many pictures. I had one of those disposable click cameras, and I have the picture somewhere. I took as many as I could while I was there, but I didn't really get to take much. But we were given a certain allowance. I just reached over to my little desk and I got to pick out a couple items. Now, the first item, something destroyed it, but I got like a little silver pen with like a little astronaut on the top. And I think I saved the astronaut part, but not the pen. Something happened to it. I don't know. But I did get to have a little necklace, and I know it's like really hard to see, but it's a little astronaut. I was really bummed because they only had gold, and I'm a silver person. I love silver. I do not like gold. So I definitely was really upset that it wasn't silver, but hey, so I definitely wore this a lot, this necklace a lot. I was super excited about it. I also got some space ice cream. Like, I got strawberry because that was my favorite out of the flavors that they had. I won't say no to chocolate though. but yeah, so I was super excited to go there. That was just, we didn't spend very much time though, unfortunately. We were with a tour and I wanted to stay longer, but my stepbrothers were complaining. My sister was bored and she's just like, oh, the space stuff. And I'm just like, but guys, like, so, I mean, this is me, but I would love to take a road trip to all the Air Force Base, Space Center, all that cool stuff. Like, I want to take certain trips, and one of those trips has to be to Space Center. Like, I have to, because it'd be so exciting. So that just like further, I was in awe of anything with space, right? Fast forward, and I got to I got to meet my grandpa again after some time. Now, my dad and my grandpa did not get along when they were younger. My grandpa was not the best parent when my dad was growing up. And eventually they somewhat reconciled, and my grandpa had a lot of money saved up. He was definitely well off. Most of that, unfortunately, did not go to the people in his will that he wanted to, because my aunt, my dad's half sister, was the consecutor, conservator, she was the person that was put in charge of the estate. Unfortunately, she spent most of the millions, or up to $1 million, trying to keep all that money to take it away from the rest of the family. So during that battle, a lot of stuff was lost too. I did see one of the things from my grandpa that he told me that he wanted to give me one day. And I was very sad because he got remarried, and my step grandma Mary, my grandma Mary, she's a sweet old lady. Like, I loved her very much. She said that she promised to make sure that I got it whenever she passed. And I didn't want to think about, her passing at all, but I was happy that she knew how much I love this. So without further ado, there's also, right? Discovery. This is the scale 1 of 200. So this was my grandpa's. Okay, so I'm pretty sure he got this like early 90s, like late 80s, early 90s. But yeah, that's definitely, I have wanted this since I was a little girl, and I definitely eventually got it. It found its way back to me, and yeah, so like I've looked this online, and I think some of these can sell for a few $100s. I would never sell this though, because this is my family history. Like this is part of, like, my grandpa got this um at some point during the Northrop years, before Northrop merged with Grumman. Like it was sometime around then that my dad started working for them. So I mean, but yeah, this was my grandpa's, and so I was like super excited that I actually got that. Um, so when I say that, like I don't show it enough, and I actually was very shy, being the kind of shy nerd, going through from school to school. I got bullied a lot, and I was never really comfortable about being very open about all the things that I really loved, that I just freak out about. I started to embrace it more as I got older, and now I'm starting to embrace this more. Um, and I don't know, like I guess part of it's because of Alan and Connor, because they're young and they're just like so curious about the world, and they're so excited about everything, and it makes me want to continue being excited. Like I hate how, yes, we have to grow up, and yes, we have to kind of be responsible in some way, but why do we have to stop being in wonder of things? Why do we have to stop being excited? Like that's why, like, even though yes, I was a Disney kid, I'm still a Disney person. Like I super love Disney and Pixar, and I just like, what's wrong with looking at things and finding wonder in them? What's wrong with exploring and seeing things that, yeah, someone has seen before, but you haven't seen it before? Yes, it's been explored, but not by you. And you know what? Even if you've seen it before, if you see it again, look at it like you're looking at it for the first time. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why I'm like not easily entertained. I'm not easily amused or anything. It's that I find wonder. I am in awe of the things around me, and I love seeing the world like that. And that's what I really loved about photography. That's why I wanted to be a photographer at one point. I got accepted at Brooks Institute of Photography in Santa Barbara in 2004. And it was me, and the second person was Bo Dehoff, I believe is Bo, which was in my photography class, in my high school class. I went to middle school with him too, because after my parents' divorce, moved back to be with my dad and my sister in California. So hometown I consider is Escondido, California, because that's where we settled, and that's the place I lived the most actually in my life as a teenager and then adult, before and after the Navy even. But yeah, I think it was me and Bo and I that got accepted that year, and they were only taking like one applicant per state, and they took, I think, like 3 or 4 from California actually. So it was really competitive. And so I wrote like a 12 or 14 page like entry to it. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I typed up like 12 to 14 pages and sent that for my entry, plus with the photographs that I admitted, but that I submitted. But still, I got accepted, but I just couldn't afford to do it, so I didn't go. But I still love photography, and so I still love looking at things and thinking like there is something amazing here, and it just looks like something simple to the everyday person, but there's something glorious going on. I know there is. I want to capture that, and I think it's a great way to look at the world. And so I feel like I haven't been as open about how much I love like space and NASA and everything like that, but I want to be more open about it. I want to show my kids that it's okay that, yeah, I've got to be an adult. I've got to be responsible. But I want to show them that it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be open and excited about things. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you're going to have people that are going to be like, oh, gross, or oh, you're an adult, like, act like one, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, age is just a number, you know? But me as a person, I've always been a curious person. I've always wanted to explore and do things, like just go out and experience it. And I've always been that type of person. I think I'm always going to be that type of person. I'm always going to want to do that. Yes, I love having a home and settling down. And granted, where I've settled because it's affordable, but it's not set in stone because anything could happen. I do love that I finally found a good school for Alan and then eventually Connor to go to. Um, but it's not set in stone. Anything could happen. I mean, say for instance, in the next couple years, I publish my book and I go big. I have so many plans that I want to do if I ever actually got the money. I mean, there's some great charity works that I want to, push towards, and I also want to bring awareness to a lot of things. Like my friend Holly, who I dedicate the book to, actually, the one who passed this year, a couple months ago. She had orphan diseases, and I want my first book to bring awareness to orphan diseases and mental health. And that was the purpose of the book. Like, there's an actual theme in the book for that. Even though it has to do with like gods and goddesses and like multiverses and all sorts of crazy things, there is a theme of disease that you can't see, mental health, and also physical ailments, and trying to help those who are dealing with that. And so, like, that's like, there's things that I want to bring awareness to. So I don't know what life is going to take us. So I mean, I do love having a place and calling it my own, but I've got that wanderlust. I love going out and doing things, and I love that my boys would like to do that too. So that, yeah, they don't like it if we're just going to the store, but if I tell them that we're going on an adventure, we're going someplace that we haven't been before, they get super excited. And it could just be a park. Like, hey, there's this park we haven't been to yet. Boom, we're going there. Like, we're going to have fun. No matter what, Mom, we're going to have fun. And that's just, I love that. I love that they have that and that I'm able to show that. And that's something that I definitely am super excited about. And you know what? I mean, I don't say it enough how much I love everything that, I mean, NASA isn't just space exploration. There's so much more involved with their technology. Their technology is used in a variety of ways. One of the other things that I loved is that sometimes they use it for exploration of our own planet. Sometimes they test some of the technology on our planet before they test it out in space. I mean, I love whenever they go, like, I love not just NASA, I love anything that has to do with exploring the oceans. And this isn't just because, like, I was in the Navy. Like, I actually have a fear of deep, dark water. I'm a really good swimmer. I really am. Like, my dad made sure of that. Like, me and my sister were really good swimmers from an early age. But I don't like deep, dark water. But I love exploration of our oceans, right? I love learning about all these different creatures, all these different, like, patterns that you see in our planet, and think like, oh, it's amazing, right? I really do love our Earth. But NASA isn't just about, like, exploring space. It's about learning. It's about finding. It's about seeking and preserving. And I love it so much. I really do. So I'm glad that I still have that. I'm glad that I still have that. Now, kind of backtrack a little bit. I mean, I also, I tend to have crushes on nerd guys. I really do. I tend to have crushes on guys that are like nerdy or um are into a lot of the same interests that I am. So, I mean, I already said in a recent video that, yeah, I'm content with where I'm at. I don't have to be in a relationship. How funny is it that, like, 2 seconds after I post that, one of my friends was like, yeah, you so set yourself up for that one. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but they're like, you set yourself up for that one. So just watch. Someone's going to dive bomb into your life and, like, want to be with you and be like, yeah, right. That's not going to happen. But, I mean, like, if someone were to come in my life one day, it could be like tomorrow, it could be like 10 years from now, I don't care. Whenever it happens, it happens, if it happens. um but he definitely has to be on board with me being a huge like geek about everything. Like he has to be like on board with all the things that I love. I mean, like I know that I'm kind of all over the place and I'm kind of a jack of all trades nerd wise, but seriously, they need to be on board with my love of like nerdy sciencey and fantasy stuff. Like that's sorry, you have to be on board with it. You have to be okay with me being like super excited about it and actually showing that and getting my kids excited about that stuff. Sorry, but it's just prerequisite. Anyway, um so I definitely had certain crushes when I was younger. One of them was a young Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. Another was a young Leonard Nimoy as Spock in TOS. And I did get to meet Leonard Nimoy before he passed. I got to be, thanks to my late uncle, the one who got me into Star Trek, the one who got me into like anime and all that. Uh, he was able to get us tickets to San Diego Comic Con, and I had gone like 6 years in a row before 2009. But 2009, 2 days before I went to Navy boot camp, I got to meet Leonard Nimoy. Oh my gosh, it was like hugging a grandpa. Like it was so amazing. I got to hug him. I was like, I know this is morbid. I hope you don't find this offensive, but I'm so glad you're not dead yet. Like I really wanted to meet you. Like I love you so much. And he just chuckled like, that's okay. That's fine, sweetie. Like that's okay. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Like I like literally like walked out in a daze after I talked to him and like went like the spun in a circle and I was like freaking out. Like I was like, I just talked to Leonard Nimoy. I talked to Leonard Nimoy. Like, are you like I was like hyperventilating. And then I also got to meet Brent Spiner, who was right next to him, and I was like, got to meet Brent Spiner, who I also had a crush on Data as well. I had a crush on the nerd guy, seriously. I mean, James Spader's voice is pretty awesome. It's gotten deeper. I kind of like the deeper register, but freaking, I had a crush on a young James Spader from Stargate, the movie, because I was like, oh, he's the cute little nerd. He's the cute little linguist nerd. I just nerds are hot to me, man. I don't know. Seriously. But anyway, yeah, so I also got to like meet Leonard Nimoy. I think the next stop, I have like a whole bunch of stuff, like stuff that I got. Anyway, I also really loved Bill Nye as a kid, so I finally got the Funko Pop. You can't really see it very well, but he's holding a globe of the earth. The box is messed up because when it was delivered, the wind blew it off to the side of my driveway and I started driving over it and I heard this little like crinkle. I stopped the car immediately. I was like, what is that? And I like backed up. I got out of the car and I was like, oh, my package. Like, oh my gosh. So it's a little messed up because of that. I didn't get into Doctor Who until a bit later in life, like when I was in the Navy, like around, I didn't start getting into Doctor Who until around 2012, 2013 ish. Yeah. I was already into Firefly, love Firefly. I started getting into Librarians sometime after that because I saw the movies Librarians with Noah Wiley and I really love those too. I have the full DVD set. Anyway, um, now I was born on the 13th, so 1 plus 3, 4. Really like numerology. So my life path is 6, so that's pretty interesting because I was like 6. Never thought I'd. Anyway, 4 is my favorite number. That's not the reason why I love the Fourth Doctor. He is my favorite Doctor. Tom Baker is he's my Doctor. Okay, I started at the very beginning with the first, and moved through as many episodes as I can get my hands on. And I stopped with 12th, not because I wanted to, but because I could not get a hold of episodes, and I need to catch up. I really do. I really like. Now, David Tennant's 10th is definitely like a close second after 4th, but Tom Baker, 4th Doctor, is my favorite. Like, he's got that sort of expressiveness that just sort of like that childlike wonder. He gets excitable. Jelly bellies. Oh my gosh. Like, I love his, like, his sweet tooth. I definitely love the scarf. I get cold easily, so I like bundling up. That doesn't deter me from snow though. Like I've said in the past, but winter is my favorite season still, even if it gets super cold. At least I can warm up if it's during the winter. Kind of hard to cool off in the summer. So yeah, I can warm up. I have like a million blankets. I can exercise. I can do things to warm up. Not as easy to cool off in the heat. So yeah, winter's still my favorite. But yeah, so I definitely love the whole scarf thing. One of these days I will get that scarf. But anyway, like this is just like me now showing like some of my love for anything like space related. But yeah, I definitely wanted to like be like, this started when I was really young, like literally on the roof of my 2-story house in Tehachapi, looking up the stars and getting to see the F-14 and getting to like talk to an astronaut, like a real astronaut. Oh my gosh. Getting to meet some of my idols growing up, like Leonard Nimoy and Brett Spiner, like, I also got to meet like freaking Winnie the Pooh. So, like that was also one of my childhood, like, oh my gosh. I have like his signature up there, from Jim Cummings. But anyway, like just, it started when I was young and it's still there. And you know what? I don't think I was as open before, but I really am open now. And I think I'll be even more open. Like, I cried when I saw pictures from the Hubble, okay? Like, and then James Webb, and just, oh, so beautiful. Oh my gosh. And I'm really excited. Like, I think I'm like hyping myself up a bit to watch Lightyear, but I think it's also because both the boys are super excited, and even though I can't afford to take them to the theaters right now, we still have Disney Plus. So when it comes to Disney Plus, actually, I bet you by the time I do another video, I'll get this. But we were at Walmart. We had to get like, some laundry detergent, some, toilet paper, stuff like that. And I was looking in the discount section for like t-shirts, because I don't have many t-shirts, honestly. I don't. I've actually gotten rid of a few. The reason why I'm wearing this collared shirt is actually because it's been a while since I've worn it, and I lost 3 pounds. Woohoo! Yes. I'm still toning. I'm still trying to tone myself, so I still have some blub and all that, but 3 pounds, and I've toned enough to where I can fit this shirt again. So, yay. Anyway, we're in the discount section, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna look at some shirts. Maybe I can find something for $2. I don't know. Like, I found my my pajama leggings with stars and moons all over it for like $5 at Walmart. So yeah, okay. And then there was like a new green shirt, which green is like my second favorite color or whatever. So blue is still my favorite, but It's like green and it has like the new Lightyear on it. And Connor and Alan were like, "Mommy, you have to wear that." I'm like, "Why?" I mean, I know we were talking about the Lightyear movie and stuff, but like, no, you have to because we like it and we think it would look good on you. I'm like, okay, we'll see. We'll see. It was like $8, but I not on the budget right now. Maybe the next couple paychecks I might get it. Because it actually looked like a pretty cool shirt and it looked like breezy, like it's not too stiff or anything. So I'm like, I can do this for like an exercise shirt. It'll work. But also I wanted to show off. So I am actually really into ball caps. I used to wear ball caps all the time as a kid, and I definitely missed it. I don't know what happened to it, but so you know, like those big neon hats, like my dad had two. He had like a pink and a yellow or like greenish neon hat that he'd wear. And sometimes if we were going to like a baseball game or we're going out somewhere, because my dad was, you know, he was into sports and stuff, so he took us to baseball games when we were younger, which I'll still go to a baseball game. I like baseball. I like sports to watch sometimes if it's baseball. Otherwise, I prefer to play in a sport. I didn't like sitting and watching. But anyway, so anytime we would go to a baseball game with my dad, or just any sort of big event with a crowd, he would have one of those neon hats on so that we could watch him or find him in a crowd. And my dad's like 6 foot, so I mean, that helps in general when you're taller. But he would have like a neon hat, and I found like a neon blue hat with like the NASA, like just the name NASA on it. And I was like 12 and I found it at a Goodwill and I was like really excited. I think I was 12. I don't actually remember my exact age. It was after I talked to Dr. Horowitz though. But yeah, I found one of those and I wore it all the time, and I don't know what happened to it. I think it got destroyed or something happened to it during my parents' divorce, and I'm really sad because I really love the hat. But I used to wear ball caps all the time with a ponytail or with a braid. I would wear ball caps all the time. So I actually kind of collect ball caps. This one definitely from when I was at Compact Fleet Navy. I have the Stennis downstairs. Like I have my John C. Stennis ball cap there. Sharks from, you know, SeaWorld, because definitely love SeaWorld. I definitely have been to SeaWorld a few times while living in California, and of course the zoo and Wild Animal Park. But I feel like I'm going to wear this for Shark Week pretty much because I mean, it's awesome. I usually don't like netting. I usually like to have full cover, but it was sharks. So, but look what I found recently at Goodwill. I know, right? I know my hair is all kind of messy, but it's a little shorter. It's more for like kids, but I'm excited. Put this back on because this is really comfy. I really like wearing this. But yeah, I definitely I found this recently and I was like, oh, it was like $1 at Goodwill. Yes. Yes. I mean, I would have loved silver, of course, but gold is fine. But yeah, I definitely. Oh, I also wanted. So I definitely showed this off before. But one of my best friends had sent like she had ordered like one of those. It was like a legging thing or whatever. So it was like a surprise package. I got a lot of cool like leggings and all that. But it also came with a dress. Yes. Oh my gosh, this is totally me. Like just the sciency and like, but NASA. I'm just like, oh my gosh. The best part about it, it has pockets. 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 Now I know that this is pretty wide. And I'm definitely trimming down. I will have a reveal video eventually, but so I mean I may have to do like a little like snap thing where you can kind of like cinch it, so it's not as like billowy. But pockets, like oh my gosh, like if we could have pockets for everything in our clothes, that would be awesome. Please, pockets and dresses. It's a must have. You can hide so many things in there. But also, wanted to bring this out because I'm pretty sure I've done this before, but yep, I've done this for Halloween, like science officer. So I was really excited about that. And of course, I've worn this a few times with my Doctor Who, like, police box dress that I got from Hot Topic, of course. Because it's Hot Topic. I mean, yeah. But the cool thing though is that I also found out from my uncle. This is before he passed. So I was visiting family when I was pregnant with Alan, I believe, actually. And we were doing like a family reunion thing when my grandma was still alive. And or no. This was actually just before my grandma passed. I'm sorry. So it was sometime after this, I think. Um yeah, because it was 2015, I believe. Not 2013. It was 2015, I believe. And I had, well, no, wait a minute. Now I'm getting confused. Now I don't remember if it was 2013 or 2015. I want to say it was 2015, just before my grandma passed. Um, but it could be the 2013 when I was visiting with family as a whole, like for the family reunion when I was pregnant with Alan. Anyway, it was between 2013 and 2015. Between those years, okay? I was like, I can't remember which trip it was. But my uncle came back and he'd taken a picture of me hugging Leonard Nimoy. Like, I didn't get a picture of me like standing next to him. I wasn't really paying attention. I was just so excited to be like touching and like hugging and talking to Leonard Nimoy. My uncle took a picture though, and then he went to another convention with Leonard Nimoy and got him to sign that picture that my uncle had taken with his camera. And my uncle said that, so I told him that 2 days later you went to Navy boot camp. And Mr. Nimoy was very polite and said, oh, what would she go in as? And he said, intelligence specialist, like very proud, puffed up his chest. My uncle was like, intelligence specialist. And Leonard Nimoy is just like, you tell her good luck for me. And I was just like, I can't believe he said that. Like, what? Honestly, I chose intelligence specialist because they didn't have photographer's mate. I'm not lying. I still wanted to be a photographer back then and didn't have any billets for photographer's mate. And I scored high enough on the ASVAB. So I was like, either I can be a mechanic or I can be an intel specialist. I'll be an intel specialist. It'll be fine. Cue me having stage fright and having to brief all the time. So there's my trade-off. But still, intelligence, intel, science division, like, yeah. So yeah, I was pretty excited to hear Michael tell me that story. So anyway, okay, so enough geeking out about that. This video is already long. I mean, all my videos are long, but that's really a summing it up of my love for space and NASA and geeking out about all things related to science. I mean, I could go on and on when it comes to Bill Nye and it comes to like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like, that would be like multiple videos. Okay. That would be ridiculous. I could definitely do many videos based on all my interests. Like, I could do one based solely on horses because I love horses. I could do one based on cats and dogs because I had cats and dogs as a kid. And even though my kids definitely kind of lean towards cat, I really want a dog. Like, I haven't had a dog since I was a kid. I really want a dog. And I'm going to need a dog because, you know what? My kids are getting old enough to where they don't want to cuddle anymore. I need my cuddles. I need someone that will cuddle with me. I need someone that I can like just chill with. And my kids, like Alan's already like, I'm too old for that, mommy. I'm too cool for that, mommy. Connor's still at, 4.5, will still seek me out and be like, mommy, you gonna sit on the couch with me? Yes, sweetie, as soon as I'm done eating, because I always eat after they eat. Because I get theirs done quickly so they don't have to like, mommy, when's my dinner? And then I can take my time making my more elaborate food if it is more elaborate. Because sometimes I'll do like a stir fry, or I'll do like a fried rice, or I'll do like some pasta dish or whatever. So it's going to take longer for my food, but theirs I'll do quickly and be like, boom, here you go. Eat so you can leave me alone so I can make my food. And so I'll go and sit on the couch afterwards with like Connor, and he'll cuddle with me if he's not treating me like a human hammock. But soon he's going to grow out of that. And that's not the sole reason I would want a dog, to have a cuddle buddy. I mean, I love cuddling and hanging out and having fun, but I do miss having an animal in the house, a furry family member. I miss puppies. And I don't care how old they are. They're all puppies to me. They're all dogs are puppies. I don't care if they're an actual puppy or they're like 10 years old. They're a puppy, okay? So even though they kind of lean towards cats, Alan grew up with cats when he was little. So like, I had 2 cats for a little while when he was born and when he was a toddler, but couldn't keep them when I was pregnant and moving all over the place. And I had nowhere to keep them. So they went to good homes, but I'm leaning more towards the dog this time. I miss having a dog. Okay. So, and dogs are good cuddle buddies. Dogs are great cuddle buddies. Okay. I don't care what anyone says. They're great. Yes, I still love cats, but I want a dog. So, my kids are going to grow out of the whole cuddling thing. So I definitely want someone to cuddle with. Okay. Other than that, I definitely should go to bed. It is late. But this is the only time that I could get this done. And, but yeah, I definitely wanted to talk about where it started and, how it's going, and it's still going strong. This love for NASA and science and exploration and just all things like that. I mean, I definitely over time believed that I probably was not going to become an astronaut. I mean, it'd still be great to go into space. That would be amazing. But I don't have like, a hope that I would be an astronaut. My body definitely would not be up to it. Like long term, like doing kind of missions or whatever. But that would be exciting. I know that I definitely would love to. I would love to be like a sort of a passenger in like a jet, like, someone else piloting, but I would be like the co-pilot. That would be so awesome. I thought about that too. And my aunt Dot, my mom's twin sister, she actually told me a story about my grandma Velva, my mom's mom, how she went flying in a plane with a friend when she was much younger, and she loved it and she wanted to be a pilot. She was like super excited about it, right? Just that exhilaration, that feeling of being high up in the air. Like I love heights. I don't like the idea of falling from a great height. Like I think that would be kind of bad. That would suck. But so I don't know about skydiving right now. Maybe if I'm older, and maybe. But either way, being up in a plane, like being high up, like I was huge on climbing trees as a kid. Like love climbing trees. I was really good at it too. I actually climbed in and out of my 2-story bedroom window from that 2-story house in Tehachapi. I'm not kidding. I actually like put rope and I'm not going to tell you how I got the rope. And then I wound it with bed sheets and other things. Like I braided things. I was really good at braiding, and I anchored it and I would climb out and then I climbed back in. Like I did that a lot, actually. I really got into a lot of trouble as a kid. Anyway, I'm good with heights, okay? Apparently my grandma was too. She was really in love with the idea of flying. But she was terrible at math. She's terrible with directions. So am I. I don't do this whole north, south, east, west thing. No. Give me a map. I can read a map. I can memorize imagery fairly well. Give me landmarks. But don't tell me north of whatever, south of, no. It's not, my brain does not know. Apparently my grandma was like that too. And she also sucked when it came to measurements. I'm really bad. I did not do well with fractions in school. I'm not kidding. Like it sucked that I had to move from school to school all the time. So I didn't get the best education. Like, honestly, I still struggle when it comes to some grammar sometimes because I did not get a very solid education in elementary school, and they expect you to know this stuff in like middle school and high school. So when I got to middle school and high school, um they're like, didn't you learn this in like fifth grade? I'm like, no, I went to like 4 different schools in fifth grade. Okay. Like, okay, I don't know. But anyway, my grandma was also really bad when it came to that stuff, and she was not very good on the type of knowledge you should have being pilots for those, certain aircraft. And so she's like, well, damn, guess I'm not going to be a pilot. She's like, but she loved being in the air. She loved like just that feeling. That's why whenever anyone asks about like superpowers, like if you could have one superpower, what it would be, always flight for me. Always flight. Always. Now, if I could have caveats on top of that where like I could breathe in space and not die, that would be pretty wicked. But flight, just straight up flight. There's so many things so many superpowers, that we could have, but flight is always my top one. Just love the feeling. Like anytime I've been in an airplane, I love that feeling as you're like rising. I love it. I know, I'm so weird, but I love that feeling as we're elevating. It's exhilarating. It's like I'm going into space sort of thing, except I'm not, but anyway. So yeah, that's kind of a little history of me loving space and still loving space. And I don't know what's going to happen with Alan, but I really hope that he continues with his just wonder of the world and loving to explore and staying curious and wanting to learn. Like I would love that. Yeah, anyway, I guess I'll do some videos later. I'm not sure when. I'm trying to kind of get myself into doing this more often because I want to kind of push myself to be a bit more comfortable. I'm still trying to get over that fear. Like, even though I'm making this video, I'm not actually talking to a person. I'm seeing my own face, but I think that's a good step because I want to get used to that sort of, like, I'm trying to get over my stage fright is basically what it is. I'm trying to get over my stage fright. I mean, there are a variety of reasons why I started these videos, especially the daily challenge to, today I love this about myself. Today I love that about myself. And I still do that kind of stuff, just not in video form as much. I say that kind of stuff to myself of, just kind of those verbalizing those positive affirmations. So I don't do videos as much with that. I'm kind of doing it daily, like, hey, you know what? I love this about myself. Like, I'm just saying it out loud, but these videos have been my way of trying to tackle this huge fear of mine. And I don't know. I would still get very afraid if I were in front of a crowd, like a huge crowd. Like if I were in the center stage, like if I'm going to a convention, like a Comic-Con or whatever, and I'm cosplaying or I'm just like, whatever, I'm fine. Okay. I'm like within the crowd. Okay. But being in front of, like, I'm presenting. Yeah. But I want to do this more. I want to pretend that I'm actually in front of an audience instead of just recording, because I want to try to tackle that a bit better or a bit more often. Because I definitely want to get over that fear, or at least be able to live with it a bit better. Like, I had to push through it in the Navy. One time a Master Chief asked me, like, are you ready? I said, no, but I'll do it anyway, because that was my mentality. And that's still my mentality, that I'm going through a lot right now. I'm in debt. I am financially struggling. I'm trying to support my kids. I'm trying to work hard and do well at my job. I'm trying to still find time to write, to do what I love. I'm still trying to find time to read. Like, I'm trying to get back into Lord of the Rings. Like, I'm trying to get back into, well, I did start the first Witcher book, but I don't remember where I put it. It's somewhere on my desk. But anyway, like I'm still trying to find time to do this stuff and, you know, work out a bit more. It's more of me moving all the time. But um, you know, I'm doing all this, but I have that mindset, yes, I'll do it anyway. Like because I wanted to like push through and get through things, but this has been a really big fear. Like I hate it. I hate being in front of people and having the spotlight on me, like in person, you know, or like on a video. I don't like team meetings with my work group. I don't. It's very frustrating for me because they're like, we want the camera on. Now I have like a little bit of eye makeup on, like not my face. Like I just had a little bit of lotion earlier, but this has been like most of the day, right? But I don't have anything on when I'm working. I don't even going out. I don't put any makeup on because I don't really care. I'm fine with how I look. I'm fine with like this makeup was from earlier because I was trying out some new eyeshadow. But that's I don't do this very often. I don't really care what anyone thinks about my looks. I really don't because I'm just like this is me. But it's just having to talk to people and then people actually stopping and listening to what I'm saying because I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to mess this up, aren't I? And I start to freak out. So I want to do better. I want to tackle this. I want to learn to work with this fear and maybe overcome it. I don't know when that will be, if ever, but I've just got to put the effort in because you know what? If I do become like a semi-famous author one day, I might have to do that. I might have to like get in front of people and, you know, do like a book tour or something like that. And that means that I will have to actually face people. So maybe I should tackle this now because if that ever happens, as I said, I could be like 60 years old when this happens. Okay. Like I'm not in a rush for this, but should that happen, like I kind of need to get better at this, you know? So trying to do that more. So I'm going to try to do more videos. I don't really care about views or, you know, like people liking or subscribing or anything like that because like supposedly I have like 5 subscribers, which I knew of like 2 people that were friends, but those other 3, I have no idea who you are. I don't know why you watch these videos at all. Like I don't know what you would want to watch on my stuff. But either way, yeah, so I'm going to try to do more of that. I may just have a few videos where it's just straight up me going over something nerdy or whatever. Oh, wait, just one second. I thought I heard one of the boys calling my name. I'm not kidding. Like I get that often where I think I hear them and my tinnitus will act up sometimes and I'll think I'll hear them. But so I went to check and be like, they're both asleep. But anyway, on the way, I tripped over. I had it on the floor and I did not pay attention, but my little Tokidoki. I ordered this a while ago and I got it like maybe sometime last month. But yeah, Year of the Tiger, because I was born in the Year of the Tiger. A fire tiger, I think is what it was. But anyway, born Year of the Tiger. And I love Tokidoki so much. It reminds me of Lisa Frank. If you were a kid of the 80s and 90s, come on. How can you not know what Lisa Frank is? I love the tigers especially, but I loved all the space stuff, of course. I had like the folders, I had like memo pads, I had pens, I had everything Lisa Frank, especially the space stuff and tigers, because I really love tigers. But not because I was born in the year tiger, but because I actually really love tigers. As is evidenced by the white tiger. And yes, my little throw rug right there, or little throw blanket, is a bookshelf. Yep. Full. I saw that at Barnes, like, not Barnes, oh my gosh. I haven't been to Barnes & Noble. At a Goodwill. I was thinking Barnes & Noble because I was looking at a link earlier about a book. But anyway, Yeah, no. So it's like a full on like bookshelf. Oh, oh, I got this as well. Like this was one of my birthday gifts. You remember how I do like a little bag and I put like I let the boys pick out something for a surprise. Um and so like I got this for Mother's Day and they said it looked just like me, so apparently I'm very gray. But I have blue glasses, so it works. Um anyway, and Alan chose like a Deadpool like a Deadpool comic, and then Connor chose Mickey Mouse on Space Mountain. The 50th, I think it's 50th. Yeah. Walt Disney World 50th, Mickey Mouse at Space Mountain attraction. And I was like, yes. Because I mean, I love Funko Pop. I do. Um, but it's Mickey Mouse Space Mountain. I think there was a video forever ago, I don't remember which one, where I got angry because I found out one of my exes um was like getting married and it was like in a forest or outdoors or whatever, and I was mad because I thought that was his and my thing. And I was like, you know what? No. I'm going to live my life and I'm going to be the person that gets married wherever she wants to get married. I don't care. And I was like, I'm going to get married at like Disney World or Disneyland. Like, I don't care. Um, but you know what? Space Mountain. Yeah. So if I ever get remarried one day, I'm totally going to do it at Space Mountain. That's what's up. I don't care if it takes me like another 30, 40 years to even afford that. I don't care. I'll be the most like badass elderly lady in the world. I'll be wearing like the full get up and getting married at Space Mountain. There you go. That's that's how much I love space, okay? And that's how much I love Disney. um but anyway, so but yeah, I like tripped over this and I was just like, oh yeah, I have this. So I need to get some Lisa Frank. That's what I need to get. It's been a while, but I really need to because Lisa Frank is where it's at. But also Space Mountain. Yep. You know what's sad? I didn't actually get to go to Space Mountain when I was there. I didn't. I'm very sad. Um, that would have been like the highlight on top of everything. I mean, at least I got to go to the Kennedy Space Center, but yeah, no Space Mountain. Nope. I didn't get to experience all of it. I've never gotten to experience the full park for either Disneyland or Disney World. I got to experience a lot of Disneyland when I was a kid, but I don't remember all of it, you know? But I really, really want to experience all of it. And I also have never been to Legoland, and I super madly in love with Legos. I cannot go near a Lego store. I'm not allowed to because I will really want to buy a lot of stuff. Because I definitely love Legos as a kid. You bet I built like a 3-foot lion and like a 2-foot like space shuttle. Like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And yeah, I've never been to like Six Flags. I've never been to a lot of places. So one day. But yeah, I never got to go on Space Mountain. So I'm kind of sad about that. One day though. Okay, enough of my geeking out about all that fun stuff. I'm sorry, the light's kind of weird. I'm like trying to hide from it so there's not like a huge glare on my glasses. I mean, like I could try to like do this without my glasses, but I feel like I wouldn't be able to see very well. And also I feel like I look weird without my glasses. Like I feel like my glasses definitely can see, you know? Okay, so oh, and also I mean I got this like over a year ago, like 2 years ago, but there's also my NASA sign. Ooh. There's also there's Klaus, my nutcracker, because I love nutcrackers. But yeah, there's my NASA sign. I hope to find another one soon. I don't know where I put it though. I don't really have a lot of space. I mean, because like I don't have a lot of space. I mean, like I've got my Winnie the Pooh, and I've got like a bunch of family stuff up there. Like I have my little Afro Samurai, my Ichigo. Kurosaki. I mean, like I've got a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, also, I forgot about this. Okay, I'm standing on top of my bed. I forgot about this. So one of my best friends from college, Whitney, she has an Etsy store and she does like cute little books, like cute little keychain things. And this one is like a constellation one. Like it's so awesome. It like spins, but how cool is that? I love it. Like as soon as I saw that, I mean, like I was gonna buy one for her from her like store anyway because I want to support my friend. But I saw that one, I was like, it's mine. It's got to be. It's like the constellation one. I was just like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I definitely. Oh, here's like my little stormtrooper. More knickknacks and items. You'll also see that I have a lot of stones because I really love stones and gems. Um, but yeah, I don't have much space, honestly. Like I don't have a lot of space. Um, in my room. It's a small house, you know, it's only 2 bed, 1.5 bath. So, I mean, it's not very big, but I definitely, that's the other reason why I say that nothing is set, like, nothing is like set in stone where I'm at. I'm going to go ahead and sit down again before I turn this off. Um, because although I like that we've settled here and that I found a good school for Alan and Connor, um, and it is cheaper to live where I'm at, this isn't, I don't know if this is where we will fully settle. I don't know if like, I don't know, you know, like we could move to another state or we can move to another house. I don't know. Like I like kind of being out of the way where people don't know where we're at now. Um, but yeah, it's definitely like I wouldn't mind a bigger place because I would definitely love to have my own room just like floor to ceiling books. The boys have more books than I do, physical books. I have like hundreds in my Kindle, but they have more physical books than I do. They've rivaled me, which they can't read them yet, but I've read most of them. I've read it. Well, I've read maybe like 60% of the books that I've gotten them, but yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, so that's why I'm like, I don't think this is like set in stone. Like things could change where we might move or, we would relocate. I would like them to be settled and stay in a place longer than, a certain amount of time because I don't want to move very often like I had to as a kid. Um, but if I'm the kind of person where I thought that maybe I'd put a lot of money into restoring where I'm at, making it better than it was, better market value. Um, but on a whole, my opinion is kind of changing like that. Like if I actually came into a lot of money, I might consider moving. I might consider moving to a different place. I don't know if it would be here or if it might be somewhere else. Um, there's a couple states that if I had a lot more money, I would move to because I would feel more comfortable there, I think, because they align with my core values as a person, um, versus where I'm at, they don't. I am kind of, I don't want to move again. Like, it's like I made so much effort to get to where we're at. We've been here for years now. But I know that at the same time, I feel a little cramped and I feel like I would want more space. I need my space. And never have truer words been spoken as well as put on a ball cap. Um, but yeah, I had plans for this place, but it could take me more than a decade before I could even afford even a small fraction of what I'd want to do this place. So I had to be realistic. But I had the chance to. Yeah. Anyway, I've gone on long enough, but part of the wanting more space is because I would definitely want to do more. I would definitely want to have a balcony where I could have my actual telescope. I definitely want to have a place that I could view the stars. Um, like I wouldn't mind being close to civilization, but I would want a place that I could go to that I could see the expanse of the sky without a lot of artificial light getting in the way, because I want to get back to that feeling of when I was a little girl, when I was like 6 years old. I want to be able to see the stars like that again with the naked eye, just sitting cozy with a comforter and hot chocolate, or, like even a beer. I mean, like a strongbow or something. Um, but hot chocolate is definitely the drink of choice if I'm doing the stargazing thing. But I want to get back to that. I want to get back to some of the feelings that I had, and I think in some ways my kids could benefit too. Um, where maybe they'd also have a lot of space to actually be kids, because we're very limited here. They can't play outside because there's too many um gopher holes and too many like crazy weeds and other poisonous stuff. Like there's it's untamed here. Um but yeah, I definitely want to have a better place, more space, place to it'd be nice to settle someplace. Like I'm sad because like we've made friends here. I really like some of the people here. I don't really like the state itself. I like some of the people here, and I like that I found a good school that I can interact with kids, and I don't want to have to uproot them again, but at the same time we're cramped, and we're kind of I feel the need for space. I feel the need for that this isn't set in stone, that there could be some wiggle room for stuff in the future. I don't know when, I don't know where, but um also because I wouldn't mind opportunities where Alan could really look into that science, look into the space stuff, look into exploration. Like there's only so much we can do right now. So it sucks when you're financially strapped for cash, and you definitely are doing everything on your own. Um, I mean, their father, my ex-husband, definitely was. He's not in the picture because he was definitely very abusive, and I'm really glad that we are safe and we're not around him anymore. Um, but I'm doing this on my own, and as grateful as I am for some of what my dad introduced me to in the past, I'm not talking to him right now, and so I don't think he's going to really send us anything or help out with anything. Um, and it's because of the core values that I was talking about. Like one of the core values is me being an ally. That I talked about how I definitely do not like J.K. Rowling as a person because she's transphobic. Like I have family, like friends and family members that are trans that I just, mm-mm. Her words are so hurtful. The misinformation that she's spreading, the way that she's talking, like I still am a huge Harry Potter fan, but I don't like her as a person. So I definitely, um, like that's a core value, right? And another core value is being anti-racist, because I had to educate myself. I'm still educating myself, but my dad is of a different mindset in that, and he doesn't believe that it exists, that anything's systemic, and he and I just don't agree on a lot of things, and that's one of them. That I support Black Lives Matter. I support um, rooting out systemic racism, and my dad's of a different mindset, different opinion about that. So I mean, that's just another core value. Um, so I mean, like that's I'm not talking to my dad right now, and I don't know what's going to happen between us. So I really am kind of like, I have some friends that help when they can every once in a while, but I'm mostly doing this on my own. So that's why I'm like, we're here for now. And I would like to settle here if I could, but I don't know if it's going to be the same place like where we're at, and nothing is set in stone. I have that feeling, that gut feeling like there's going to be a change, maybe unexpected. I don't know when. But that this change might eventually be for the better, and it might not seem like it at the time, but it's worth thinking about. So that's why I say nothing is set in stone. Um, but yeah, I definitely want to get to a place where I have at least a porch or a balcony or something where I can see the stars the way I used to when I was a little girl. That I think would be amazing. It would be so awesome to have that. And I would like to give that to my boys too. And space to grow and be kids. That would be nice. Of course, it would be nice if I had more funds because then I could travel with them and do things with them. But anyway, that's just my speculation. I'm sorry, I derail all the time in all my videos, but I still think this is important to get out there. Because in my mind, it's still related to the topic I started with. But okay, bedtime definitely, and I love wearing this hat. I know, like, I really don't have to wear this hat the entire time, but I love wearing this hat. Honestly, I saw some blue ones, like color blue online, and I debated very hardcore on getting the blue one because blue is my favorite color and because the NASA hat that I had before was blue. Um, but then I saw this and I was like, you know what? I love the message. I need my space. And then it contrasts with my dark brown hair. So I like it. And you know what would be cool is if my hair goes completely white and then it's like white with white. Uh-huh. I'd be monochromatic then. I I have like dumb humor. I'm sorry. I have like mom humor. I don't know. But yeah, it's like super comfortable. I really love it. I wear this hat the most, I think, out other than my shark hat, and my navy hats. But I wear this hat probably the most. So I'm actually surprised. You know what? I'm not gonna say it out loud. The universe is listening, but I was about to say something about the hat, and you know what? I'm not gonna say it out loud because then the universe might decide to mess with me. But anyway, um, I will work on getting an editing program for my videos so that way um, my videos aren't so long, and also I can um, edit things out and be like, yeah, anytime I derail, I can be like, cut that out. That would be, I mean, yeah. But even though this video is almost 2 hours long when it comes to like this topic, even if I cut out all the derailing parts, it's still going to be probably an hour's worth of just talking about space, just talking about this topic, right? Um like like even if I did that, there'd still I could talk forever about this stuff. Even though, like, so say I cut out all the derailing parts of this video, there's still maybe about an hour's worth of me talking just about space and exploration, about all the things that I love about it. I'm so sorry. I yawn all the time in my videos. There's the customary yawn. Um, but I could talk days, months, weeks, years. Like I could talk forever about this stuff. It's funny that my friend talked about like as soon as you say that you're comfortable and content being on your own, someone's gonna come in your life, and I'm just like, I think it would be awesome if I could actually have someone in my life that I could just talk about these things all the time. That they would get super excited about space just like me. That we would talk about everything to do with space, everything to do with like Disney, because I'm really big on Disney. I mean, that's a big part of our family. We also have a lot of stuffed animals. We have a lot of like knickknacks. I'm eventually going to get rid of a lot of them, um, but there's so many things I'm interested in, like exploring, hiking, camping. Like, it would be so much fun to experiences. Like, I want to do experiences with my boys, and I mean, yes, whoever it would be would have to definitely like kids because I mean, they're my kids, you know, like they're not going anywhere, like they're still both minors. So I mean, that's definitely part of the package, but I mean, I'd really want like a best friend that I could just spend forever with talking about this stuff. Like I think that would be like perfection. As much as perfection could exist at all. I think that would be amazing is being able to talk to them about all the things that excite us. That you know, even as adults we still get excited, we still get happy about this kind of stuff. That they would be on board with us getting married at Space Mountain, okay? Because that's a big thing. Now, I might negotiate as far as it actually being Space Mountain because, well, I don't know. But it has to be Disneyland, Disney World. It has to be Disney. But Space Mountain's my first pick. But I mean, like I would really love it if they could be on board with that kind of stuff or that I could just talk forever about this stuff. I'm also really big into video games. Like I would love it if I could talk video games or you know what? I'm not the biggest sports person, but I could still get excited. I can still, you know, support whatever team. That's fine. Um because I don't have like a team. That's the beauty of not being a sports person. I don't have a team. Even though I say Escondido is my hometown, Padres are not exactly my team. Like, or the Chargers. Like, I just, like, they're not, like, I never really picked a team. So I am very amiable with that, to support any team. But, you know, I just, that's what I think. I think that I really need someone in my life that I can just geek out, like just go full on nerd when it comes to space because I do have friends that are as excited about it. Um, but I don't think some of them are as hardcore as me. Like I don't have anyone in my life that's as hardcore. Like I would become someone's friend just to nerd out when it comes to space. I'm not kidding. Like I would talk to someone, I'd become someone's friend just to have someone to geek out about that because I love it so much. But yeah, I just think about all these things that I love and that my kids love that they're excited about. Um it would be amazing to have someone that I could just be best friends with and just have there to talk about that stuff all the time. It would be awesome. And I know that the kids would love it too. Like Connor is super ambitious, very independent. He really loves knowing things and being in charge. Like Connor's like a go-getter, right? Like even though he's 4.5 years old, he's a go-getter and he wants to be like on top of everything. Alan's more the whimsical, the explore, curiosity, just for the sake of being happy, of being in wonder of things. So he's more of the whimsical, wanderlust, daydreamer type. Connor's more of the ambitious leader, go-getter. I want to learn, explore, and do these things, but because I want to like be in charge of it. Like I want to be like the top, you know? So it's different motivations, but almost the same goal. So both my kids definitely have strong personalities when it comes to that. Um, but they both really love that too. So I think someone that can interact with them as well on that level. I think that's why it's important that someone still be excited about this kind of stuff, about space, even as an adult, because my kids are really excited about it. I'm super excited about it. Like, I think it would be amazing to have that in our lives. Like, I think that's something that we might be missing is someone that can just nerd out as hardcore as we do about that. It would be fun. Um, I mean, also willing to take trips and try new food and try new experiences. Bonus points if they're into musicals because I would really love to go to musicals and concerts because I've never been to like a musical. I've never been to a musical, so yeah, that would be nice. If I could nab a guy that also loves musicals or at least can tolerate them enough to go to a few with me, that would be nice. That would be bonus, and especially bonus if they're not allergic to dogs or cats. I mean, I'm still leaning heavily towards dog. But so, like my dad was allergic to cats. So couldn't really have cats around him. And my sister's allergic to cats too. So she didn't really like being around cats. I'm not allergic to cats or dogs. The boys are not allergic to cats or dogs. They've been around dogs before and they've been fine, even if we don't have a dog in the house. But it's so now I'm starting to like my dream guy. I'm like starting to do my dream guy profile, but really I would like to have someone that I can nerd out like hardcore when it comes to space, because and that's the thing too, is that people think of romantic partners as, I guess, romance, which I'm fine with that. I'm fine with being intimate or whatever. Like, I'm fine with that kind of stuff, but I want a best friend that I can nerd out with. I want a best friend that will go on these adventures with me. That will last as long as possible, because you never know what life can throw at you. But when I think of partner now, it's changed over time. I think a partner, I think of someone who can nerd out as hardcore as I can about this stuff. Like having that best friend that I would want to go to and be like, "Oh my gosh, did you hear about this?" Like I didn't really text anyone about the James Webb. Like, I was sitting there crying, like happy tears seeing those images. I didn't really have anyone to send them to be like, "Oh my gosh, did you see this?" I didn't have anyone to nerd out about with it. I really need a dude in my life that will nerd out when it comes to space. I do. And also because I need the boys to see that. I need the boys to see that kind of positivity when it comes to space and science and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Now that I've gotten that out of I'm going to like so rant at my friend for sending me that text, because now it's going to be stuck in my head thinking that there's going to be a dude going to pop up out of nowhere. Because I was like, I'm content. I don't have to be in a relationship. I'm fine. And then they send me that text. Like, it's probably not going to happen for like another 10 something years or whatever, 20 years. I'm trying to be, I wouldn't say positive. I'm just trying to be like realistic, I guess. Like, yeah, it's probably going to be this if it ever happens. But no, now it's going to be stuck in my head because they texted that to me. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. Ugh, okay. And that friend, if my friend sees this, if you see this, you know I'm going to come after you for this, okay? I'm really not, it's going to be stuck in my head now. I pretty much just did a profile of the perfect guy for me, and you just, FYI, he's got to be a nerd. It's got to be if he's going to be into all the same stuff that I am, but, okay. All right. I'm done delaying. I talked about these videos being like me trying to get over my fear, but now I'm just kind of like ranting stuff. Okay. You've seen enough of this face of mine, but I mean, gorgeous hat, so it's like 10 out of 10 for this. I may not be a 10, but this hat is definitely a 10. It's an 11. So hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk to you when I talk to you. So bye.